we want to let you know today is a special day because I get to interview a very good friend of mine that I have gotten to be good friends because of me starting Planet 412. That's a special thing that's happened since I started the 412. I've got to know very special people on Planet 412 through the channel. And without further ado, we're going to bring in a good friend of mine, BJ LaPier, right? Or did I say it wrong?
LaPier.
Okay, I got it right.
Yep.
BJ, welcome to Planet 412. Thank you for honoring me with coming on and letting me interview you.
Well, thanks for asking.
And what I wanted to do real quick, if you could just give the 412 population a real quick little bio of who you are, and you can tell them as little or as much as you'd like real quick.
Well, I'm an author illustrator. I write several different types of books, between horror and educational coloring books, inspirational, some religious, and everything's on Amazon. I have a YouTube channel that has all my book trailers. And on top of that, I'm sensitive. I see things that a lot of other people don't see. I see ghosts, I hear ghosts, and just a lot of stuff like that. Bigfoot stuff and UFOs, aliens, all that.
The whole gamut. Now,
oh yeah,
real quick with the YouTube, where can they find your YouTube channel? What is the address?
Okay, my YouTube channel is BJ LaPier, author illustrator.
And I will be, right after this video, I will be going over and subscribing, and I will also be throwing this in a YouTube update for everybody on the 412 to be going over and subscribing as well to your new YouTube channel. Now,
yeah, the Bigfoot book is over there too that you're in.
Awesome.
Pictures are up.
And I want to thank you again for putting me in there. I'm honored for you doing that.
You're a good friend.
Well, thank you. I'm very, very happy that you and I have got to be good friends. And I'm, again, honored that we are. I really value our friendship. And I'm so happy that you came on and let me interview you. And I'm happy that we're going to get to physically see each other in the next, 2 weeks? Or maybe
29th.
Yeah, it's coming up. So, it is going to be in Brookfield, and then I'll get to see you in Girard in May, correct?
Yep. The Penn, Ohio Paranormal Convention.
I'm excited about it. Can't wait. And I get my signed book from you.
Yes, you
do. I'm looking forward to that as well. Now, jumping into what you are sensitive with. Now, for our viewers, what specifically do you mean when you say that you're sensitive?
Well, I see ghosts. I hear ghosts. I can hear them talking. I can feel them. I know some things are going to happen, before they happen. I don't know what to say because everything's just so, it's normal for me.
Well, when was the first time that you noticed something happened? How far does it go back?
Back to when I was right around between 6 and 7, when I was starting school. And first day of school on the school bus, going out the road, going down around the curve where the church is, my grandfather, who was buried up in there, he was standing out on the side of the bank with his arms crossed, watching me head off to school for the first day.
And you knew he was passed away?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it didn't blow you away that Grandpa was watching? But he was watching, he was making sure you were good going off to school, and that was just A-okay normal for you.
Yeah.
See, that's amazing. And, it makes me think about those that are really, touched by, the supernatural and the paranormal. And, we've talked about before, and I've talked about it on my channel about, certain families who in their family tree, they're touched on one side. Like on my side, it's my mother's, the Lebanese side goes really far back in that family tree. And for years it would be which side
My father's side.
so,
Yeah.
and I found out, that there in whatever families have that supernatural paranormal part, that it's ingrained in the DNA and it goes farther back. If they really look into it, it goes farther back than they would realize.
I've heard it goes back to Scotland, but I don't know too much about that. I only know, as far back as what my father and his sister and stuff have experienced.
That's interesting. It'd be really cool if you could maybe find out more someday. If you could maybe try and research that, that'd be awesome. If you could find.
Yeah, my cousin's doing a little bit of research on that side.
And your cousin is also touched.
Yeah, my cousin Diana is a psychic.
And how long has she known that she's had abilities?
For a long time. She's known for a long time too.
And I mean, is she really a powerful psychic as well?
She is very good.
I'd love to meet her someday. I would really like to see what she could tell me about me as well.
Oh, she could just look at you and start rattling stuff off. That's how good she is.
I would love it. The first time I met, I did, I went to my wife and I went one time. We were out of town. We went to into a place and had I had my poem read, and the lady looked at me. It was really wild because I hadn't told my wife about what had happened to me when I was 14 because I didn't want to make her think I was crazy, and I hadn't come out and talked about it, and I hadn't told anybody, and other than my dad, and it was still really secret. And
I get that because I didn't tell anybody either.
Something like that. I just I wasn't there. It was years before I talked about it, and she looked at my hand and she looked at me and she just gave me this look, and I knew that she looked at me, and I just kind of shook my head. I was like, and she looked at it. I just knew what she was. She knew. I just knew she knew. And she just was like, so I just shushed her. But aside from her, the next one I met was Johnny. Do you know Johnny Freeman? Do you know who he is?
No, I don't.
So Johnny Freeman, I had gone, and I'm going to throw it back to you because this is about you. He's the second sensitive. He's a psychic. I had met him. If you go to Planet 412, the second video I did, it was done at Beaver Creek State Park in Ohio. I had gotten a EVP from there with a grunt from a Sasquatch that was not visible, and he came up to me. We had never met. He walked up to me and he said, "Hi, my name's Johnny. I'm a psychic. I don't mean to bother you. I've never seen anybody with an aura like you. I just need to let you know. I've been told to let you know that you need to go up this trail. At the top of the trail, there's a stone portal." And he explained to me that it's used by supernatural beings and that you need to go up there. I see you're on crutches, but I just need to let you know you're supposed to go up there. I laughed at him, and something crazy happened. So, EVP wise, we'll get to you in a little bit about an EVP that we need to talk about, but it was pretty crazy what happened. So I'm really interested in psychics.
Yeah, I remember your case. Yeah,
it was
cool.
Really incredible. Yeah, it blew my mind, and I came back down and I grabbed him, and he tells a funny story. He's like, Matt's a big guy, and he grabbed me and my feet were off the ground, and I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, dude, you won't believe what happened. And it was really insane. So everybody, if you haven't seen the second video off my channel, you won't believe what happened at Beaver Creek. That's the name of the video. Check it out. Anyway, you've had so many incredible things that have just happened to you. I remember you and I talked about something. You showed me a picture not that long ago. I think it was on your back porch where there was like the leg of somebody.
Oh, that was in my mother's basement.
Okay. And could you
Yeah.
explain what happened there?
We were having a lot of heavy rain, and the Bilco doors that she has above her basement entrance from outside, they were leaking. So I opened up the door to look out, and seeing it was really coming down. So I took my camera out, or my phone, to get a picture of it so I could show her. And when I was taking a picture, I didn't see anything. But then I took it up to show my mother, and lo and behold, there's a second set of legs right beside mine. So I thought it might have been my father, but then I had showed my cousin the picture, and she said, no, that's Franklin. He lives in the basement.
And who exactly?
And he was just checking it out.
Was he somebody that used to live in the house, or?
No, my father built that house, and he built it up from the ground. And my cousin, she said that he was just moving through, and he stopped there. He felt comfortable there. He felt safe. So he decided he was going to stay, and which is fine.
Your cousin, the psychic, told you that it was.
Yeah, my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, hey, it was a positive place for him to stop. So, okay. Yeah. Now, going back to your place, you had talked about you had lights that flicker and some other things.
I actually sent you on chat. I sent you a short video of the lights from Harold, my bathroom ghost.
Okay. Could you tell everybody what goes on in your house, what's happened in there?
I have a lot of ghost activity here. 99% of it is all, it's good. I have 3 residual looped ghosts that just loop through here, but then I have ones that come through and try to communicate. They blink my lights, and like the one in the bathroom, it was a male spirit. His name was Harold, and he would just make the lights go crazy. And
I see them right now. Definitely.
Yeah. There's 3 lights in there all going at the same time on the bathroom one. The other link I sent you was for my one living room light too, because it goes on all over the house.
Wow, that's really wild. Definitely not something wrong with the wiring. That's
nope.
A lot more than just something wrong with the light bulb or something.
Yeah. And if you look at the 2 night lights, those are both identical night lights, the same color, but they're not in there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep. So he was manipulating a little bit too.
Now, how did you know that was his name? How did
because I hear things in my head at times, and that's what he said his name was Harold.
Oh, so he did mind speak with you then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But
now
after he actually spoke, out loud, and the cats heard him, and my little dog Cassie Joe heard him, and they kind of looked up and they're looking around. It's like, who's here? Then it's like, okay, we're getting a little,
You have
creepy.
You had disembodied voices in your house.
Yeah.
Now, did it sound?
I get those at times.
Did you? Now, I've heard disembodied voices on some of the shows, so I watch Discovery Plus a lot. By the way, if you don't watch it, that is without a doubt the best supernatural paranormal channel to watch. Everything on there. I've heard some. So Destination Fear is one of the best ones to watch. They go into some of the most haunted places on the planet, and they stay overnight. They separate. Like there's four people, and they put the 4 worst places at the end of the night written on a piece of paper into like a hat, at the end of the night, they shake it up and they pick and they go to wherever they pick and they sleep in that whichever they pick, and they have to stay in that spot. Now, once in a while, they'll get a disembodied voice, and it sounds really strange. Now, when you heard it, did it sound different, or did it sound like just a regular voice?
Regular voice. But you were talking about Destination Fear. You want to know something kind of cool about them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They went to the old Adrian Hospital, the old Punxsutawney Hospital. That's reputed to be really haunted.
Right.
I was born in that hospital.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a neat little story. Yeah, they definitely had some really scary stuff happening there. Yeah. That's interesting.
So
very interesting.
Maybe I got a little bit there too, you know.
That's cool. Very good. You definitely have quite a notebook there, BJ. So is he still in your home?
No, I got rid of Harold.
Okay.
It was just too creepy. Being in the bathroom, male spirit. I mean, you shower in there, you use facilities in there, and got kind of like to be a voyeur per se, you know.
So how did you tell him to leave?
I basically told him that only entities of the light, you know, were allowed. Nothing from the darkness, you know, is permitted to be in my house. So I just said that a couple times, and I told him that it's just too creepy, him being in the bathroom, and unfortunately he has to go.
Now, did it came off that he was a negative entity then?
I don't know if he was negative or not, but those lights were getting more aggressive as they were blinking. I mean, they started out just by a blink here, blink there, you know, kind of like, hey, I'm here. And then it got aggressively, like that video I sent you. Yeah. So I thought it was time to go.
Definitely looked like almost like a haunted house effect. I mean, very, very strong.
Well, ghosts are attracted to me. Being a sensitive, they are attracted to me. You know, and I had one speak to me just last Sunday morning.
What happened?
I was laying up in bed, and I have spinal arthritis, and you know, at times I get a lot of pain, and my neck was really hurting, and it was time to get up for church, and I'm like, I really don't feel like getting up. And then this older woman came through. She was kind of short, hunched over a little bit, walking with a cane, kind of shorter, curly hair, and she says, I know, dear. I understand. So
now, did you hear this audibly?
She's like a grandmotherly.
Or was it mine? It was disembodied voice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was like a grandmotherly type, you know, and she's just letting me know that, yeah, I understand. I got it too. You know.
You're married. So does your husband hear this stuff going on as well?
He doesn't hear the stuff. I mean, he sees the blinking lights and all that kind of stuff, and he knows that I, you know, how I am.
How does
he just kind of shrugs it off too, you know?
Does he?
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, well, this is normal for BJ. I'm just whatever.
Yeah.
That's
he didn't even know until just a few years ago. He didn't know until it was 2021 when I told him, and I actually told my mother. My mother didn't know either. So
how did she react?
Oh, she started thinking it's actually pretty cool. It's kind of neat.
That's really cool that she looked at it and she didn't know that her husband had a sensitivity. He kept that.
He never said a word. He was like me. He kept quiet about it.
Now I can see that though, because that generation didn't talk about that kind of stuff. That was very hush hush in that. Yeah. I could see that.
And I'm told I'm a lot like my father, so you know.
Well, I'm glad that you've opened up and that you're talking about it with us here. You had mentioned something else that you hear other things. You want to discuss that? If you don't have to, if you don't want to.
Are you talking the hymns? Or
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for a long time, I'll have hymns, old fashioned hymns, not the the newer ones like a lot of churches do today, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
old fashioned hymns back that like in our parents' time period and all that, and grandparents that they would sing in church.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll hear a hymn start going through my head, and usually it's happens before somebody that I might know. I don't have to know them well, just people I know. Somebody I know is going to pass away. And in about the last month, it's happened 4 times, and either the day or the day after that I'm hearing the hymns, somebody passes away.
Wow.
If it's
That's
somebody I'm
incredible.
close to, then I'll hear them for several days, if not longer, depending on how close I am to the person.
Wow. How does that affect you?
It kind of makes you uneasy to a degree because I'm not privy to who it is that's going to
Right.
pass away. But yeah, I just know that somebody is, and kind of makes you wonder,
Right. Right.
it's the
Because you
old
don't know
who's
how close
next,
they're going to be to
type deal.
you. Right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's these, these sensitivities are a blessing and a curse. I mean, I have sensitivities that I've found out since I was young to certain things, not to the extent that you have. You had some other really interesting events. So you've, done some really cool Bigfoot hunting over the years.
Well, I don't
Can
really
we
hunt for them. They just show up.
can we talk about, what's
Yeah.
happened over the years with them?
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Well,
It's,
let's go back as far as we can. So when it first started,
okay.
however,
Well, I've always, kind of believed in the Bigfoot,
mhm,
and but I believe more because I actually found footprints at one point in time at the end of my driveway, which is like maybe 50 feet from the house. I found, a set of footprints, and I had a gentleman who's a researcher, look at them, and he said they're very indicative of a juvenile Bigfoot. So
so
he
you have woods by your
confirmed.
house, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I really didn't tell a lot of people about them, because I don't want people coming here and,
Oh,
tracing around my,
absolutely.
my woods and all that. That's
I
why
don't
I
blame.
normally don't tell people exactly where I live, you know.
I wouldn't either.
And yeah. And then so I went to it was a paranormal expo, and that's where I had met Mike. I always have a problem with his name, Fimelant. But I seen Mike there, so that's who I showed the pictures to. And then there was also a psychic and a Reiki master there, and they were at a booth. And I already knew what I wanted to get. I was looking for certain crystals, the black tourmaline and the crystal quartz,
Hmm.
the clear crystal quartz. So I was over there. I was just kind of looking, and she's kind of looking at me weird, and she's like, "Do you know you have attachments?" I'm like, "Yeah," And my father and my grandfather, the one that visits, they both are attached to me,
Hmm.
which I knew they were. So, and I never tell psychics anything because they're supposed to be able to tell me anyways,
Right.
So I'm looking for stuff and all that and different things, chit chats going on. And this is all kind of leading up to the Bigfoot thing. The Reiki master Darren, he came back over and he sat down to eat. And a yellow jacket came and started buzzing around his head, and he started swatting at it. I told him, no, don't do that. So then I kind of took my hand and I put it over his head and I said, come here. So the yellow jacket came over and it started flying, around in front of me. And I told him, you can't be here. You have to leave. So it just turned around and beelined right out of the tent.
Are you kidding me?
No. And the psychic, she said that her spirit guide is telling her to pick up the deck of cards. And so she picked it up and she starts to fold them out and then she folds them back in again. And she says, it's just telling me to flip over the deck. She flipped over the deck and it's the wasp card. And the yellow jackets are in the wasp family. The yellow jacket is my spirit animal.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had disturbed a nest here and I had thousands. I mean, it was a big nest. I had thousands of yellow jackets flying all around me outside. And I walk with a cane. I can't run. So I just kind of stood there, put my hands out and said, what will be, will be. Not one bee landed on me. Not one bee stung me.
Are you kidding me?
I slowly walked over to the house, the breezeway. Well, we have like a porch. I opened up the door and I went in and I probably had about 6 of them follow me in. So I went around to the other door. I opened up all the windows so they could get out. And they did not bother me. And my cousin, this Diana the psychic, she told me that's because they are my spirit animal.
That's incredible.
So, and then back to the thing now, the expo. So I did that, and Darren kind of looks up at me and he says, "You have an old soul." And I told him I know, because I know who I was in my past life. I know what she had gone through. And I knew this from myself. Nobody had to tell me any of this. And he told me about having the old soul. And then the psychic woman, she told me that you definitely, do need to get those crystals because, you are so open to things. So I told her, yeah, that's what I was looking for, anyways. So after that, it was 7 days. I was talking to my friend Dawn. She lives in Oklahoma, on a chat, and I was telling her what they had said. And she thought it was all cool and everything. And just from me thinking it in my head and telling her over the computer, Saturday morning, it was a Friday night, Saturday morning, I got up and I went outside to where I have a little greenhouse out there. And I went in, I seen there was a rip in the plastic. So I went out to look at the rip and there was a crystal sitting on the edge of the greenhouse. And it's like, that's pretty cool. So I did a Google Lens search on it. And it actually turned out to be, I wrote it down, it's an old soul, sparkly, illustrial, raw crystal quartz. Exactly. It fits right in with what I was looking for and what the Reiki master had told me.
Wow.
And I believe that because I didn't have people come in here trying to find, the Bigfoot, that was a gift from them to me to thank me for not doing that.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, I can. Wow, that's really special, Beach.
Yeah.
Wow, that had to really make you feel like, oh my God, that's incredible. Wow. Well, I'm sure
everything just tied right in.
Right. Exactly. And I'm sure a lot of people watching know about, how much people talk about, Sasquatch being able to, have abilities.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes on
apparently
for
it's hearing my
days.
thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Do you keep that with you a lot, or
No,
obviously,
I have this one in my living room. I have set it in there.
Place, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I wear crystals. black tourmaline and the clear crystal quartz. I wear that
You've told me
24/7.
about the tourmaline for sure.
Yeah.
When I spoke to you about going to, because we've spoken about a certain place I'm going to be going to this year, and I don't want to be pulling anything back or having a something. What's the word I'm looking for?
You don't want anything attaching to you,
hijacking me and coming back. Yeah, my wife especially doesn't want me going, number one, because she doesn't want something coming back with me. She's not going to be happy when she finds out I go, because I'm going. But I will definitely be
get both of
seeing
those.
you.
Yeah,
I will.
Both of those, because the clear crystal quartz works as a booster for the other crystals that you have. So and it also helps protect you from the attachments. But the black tourmaline will help to keep you safe from the nasty ones out there. And the clear crystal quartz will boost the power of the black tourmaline.
What else would you recommend when you go into? Because
black Assibian, the black Assibian, that would be a good one too. Okay. But these are my standbys. This is what I use, all the time.
Because there's some really nasty ones in this. I think I've told you where. Did I tell you where we're going to be going?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, and it was one of the places that Destination Fear went as well. I mean, it's got some really nasty ones in this place. Yeah. So I want to make sure that
you'll have to shield yourself. The clear crystal quartz, you can, ask for shielding and get the shielding.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring some holy water as well.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
No. What else? Have you had any like house slapping or anything like that going on? No.
Just like the gifting and the footprints, and then the chattering.
So talking about, still with the Sasquatch, obviously they have a very positive relationship with you. Something really, really special and similar to something that happened with me in Beaver Creek happened with you as well. You got something, a recording, something really special. And you and I had something that we kind of had involved with each other. You want to talk about that here?
Well, I went outside the one night. I always take my little dog out because there's too many things, even though the yard's fenced in, there's too many things that can get her, And so I had her out there, and it was only maybe 6 weeks or so after she had almost died on us. She actually did die and was brought back by our vet. And she wasn't supposed to be getting, all stressed out and nervous and everything, because her heart was still healing. So we're out there, and next thing I know, I hear this big whoop, and it was like really loud. Scared the bejeebies out of her. She ran for the door. So she was my priority. I hurry up, got her in so she would be okay. And then I went back out, and I got my phone out and just started recording. So I was hoping there would be another whoop, but I didn't hear that, but I heard a bunch of chattering. That I heard another recording. Mine sounded exactly like it.
100%. Yeah. So what happened, everybody, is you sent me one that was very crystal clear of somebody getting a really, really sound recording of Bigfoot chatter. And then yours, you actually asked, well, you didn't ask, you said, I really was hoping I could somehow,
Yeah.
get
Yeah, I was
it
telling you
cleaned up.
about it, and I didn't know anybody that could do it. You offered. I didn't know
Right.
you did that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have editing software because I do videos on YouTube, and I said, let me take a shot at it. And it actually worked.
Mhm.
And oh
You
my,
did an
you
awesome
actually
job
didn't
with it.
even know. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was so stoked that it worked. You didn't even know that was yours. You were like, oh my God, is this my video? You actually wondered if it was the other video. I was like, no, it's yours.
Yours is actually clearer than that other video from the other channel, because the other one has like that recording static on it.
Oh, that's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Yours doesn't.
It's amazing. I'm so glad I got to do that for you, and that it sounded great.
Well, I'm very thankful that you did that for me. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. I'm very happy I was able to do that for you. I'm very happy about that. It sounded amazing when I cleaned it up. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah, it
holy
sounded amazing to
cow.
me too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's exactly what the other one, I mean, identical.
Mhm.
So you definitely have some active area by you, and there's a family or more around
Yeah,
you.
I think there was probably 3 different vocalizations, on that video, the audio that you did. Because when I was recording it, it sounded like there's 3
Mhm.
that were
Yeah, oh
doing
man.
it.
Do you ever hear anything in the cold, or do you think that they move on during the cold winter months?
I probably about 2 months ago, I thought I might have heard the growl, the
Mm.
gravelly growl, but I can't be sure about that, and I did not catch that on. I was just out with Cassie Joe, and I didn't. That was just one time deal on that. So there wasn't
Now,
any.
what's your thought on them? Obviously, no one knows for sure, but my thought is I believe that a lot of these cryptids like Bigfoot and Dogman will utilize like these cave systems that are underground. And that, do you think that as well, that that's where these things are going a lot of the times?
To a degree, yeah, we do have some caves, around. Um, but I don't know, because on a lot of the things I've seen, where they have nests built, I've
Hmm.
never seen
Yeah.
any here. So I don't know if they really need the caves or not, but I don't know. But where I'm at, and I can say this without giving my location away, I'm up in the Allegheny National Forest,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's over 500,000 acres.
Mhm.
It's huge, and there's always been a lot of reports of Bigfoot and Dogmen and
Mhm.
portals that come out of there. So I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah, one of the most well-known areas, actually, Allegheny,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, and they also have missing people.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
on record there's over 150 missing men, women, and children that never were found, that went missing in the Allegheny National Forest.
Yeah, and unfortunately, something that's been happening more frequently as the years have been going by. And, I think also because of, mass media, because of the internet and stuff, we've been finding out as the years have been going on that just because of mass media, we've been hearing about more. But I think that if we could go back further, I think we know that it's
Oh
been
yeah,
going on for a lot
a
longer.
lot longer. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And now, obviously, we can't say that all of them, because people just get lost.
yeah,
People
they get
fall off
lost, and yeah,
cliffs. You
exactly.
know,
And there's
there's
sinkholes
also
too around here. And if somebody goes down one of them sinkholes, you aren't going to find them.
right, or I mean, there's bears. I've seen
Bears. And,
video. There was a
oh
horrible
yeah,
video of a guy that videotaped his own death from a bear. So, there's many natural, ways that people can die. But, I talked about this a couple live streams ago. I had an Aaron Deese on. I talked about Dr. Russ Jones. He's well known on a lot of the small town monsters and things like that. He talked about this one, I think it was the Kentucky State Patrolman. Him and his wife were looking for ginseng. They were on four-wheelers. He noticed a Sasquatch, and he had mentioned how big it was, and he basically compared the rough size of it to like going to Home Depot and looking at a sheet of plywood, and you know how big those things are.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I'm not saying that right. And I'm not saying that, he said, I'm not saying that all the disappearances are because of these things. But what I am saying is, it would be so easy for these things to take a grown man. They're just so big.
Oh, yeah.
And, just, so some of them have to be from, some of them. And you hear about, obviously, much, much more negative experiences with dogmen than Sasquatch. Sasquatch seem to be more bluff charges and just pushing you out of areas. The dogmen are much more negative, and I think
they're more aggressive and
right. And you're obviously not hearing about the really bad experiences because you're just not hearing them because the people are being killed. But there are some people that get killed from Sasquatch as well. Just like, one of the best comments I could hear is there's bad ones just like they're bad people.
Yeah.
They're not all good.
No difference.
Right. Now, BJ, obviously there's a lot of other, things that you've had. Is there anything that you haven't mentioned? High strangeness or paranormal or events that have happened to you?
Oh, I see UFOs. I mean, UFOs are.
That's right.
Could
you talk about that?
Also? Well, a lot of the times I'll just be outside again with Cassie Joe. She's my reason for going outside at night. So, and I'll look up in the sky and I'll start seeing things moving across the sky, and they are not airplanes. And I did some videoing. I did, pictures of them, and some of them you can actually see a craft when you blow them up, and it's not an airplane. So, and they're not drones either. You can tell drones. Oh, yeah. Yep. I got pictures. I got videos. I have a picture of when I seen nighttime on December 1st of 2023. And then I seen one in, I can't remember what the date was. It was July or August. It was August of 2024. And this was a daylight sighting. And I seen it. I got video, and I also got a still shot, and I blew that still shot up. Same exact craft. And it's a cigar shape.
Oh, interesting.
Silver, glimmering. Yeah. Yep.
Did it change colors?
No, this one just stayed the silvery whitish. And when I first seen it, it was sitting still. It wasn't even moving when I first seen it. And then
you got a picture of it?
Yeah, I got pictures of it. And there was a small plane that was flying, which is what I originally was looking at, because I like to try to zoom in on my phone to see how close I can get, And I'm following it, and then I kind of see this thing show up, and it's just sitting there not moving. The plane immediately banks to the right as soon as he actually noticed it, because he got pretty close to it before he seen it. And he immediately banked to the right. And as soon as he banked to the right, the craft seen that it was noticed, and that it immediately just started shooting off to the left, and it went fast. It took me, a second to even try getting it in the middle of my frame so I could video it. So that's
Was
how
this a
fast it moved.
commercial plane that saw it?
No, it was a small plane.
That's
small
really wild.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been in that plane to see what
Oh,
he
yeah.
saw.
Yeah, his
We'll have
mouth
to-
probably hit the floorboards on that one.
I'm sure. Allegheny is, oh wow, is so well known for UFO activity for years. Well, some of the most well-known UFOs in history, actually. So,
Yeah, we have
well,
state parks right around too. Yeah, we got the rivers, and yeah.
you know what I always say, and I love that you say you'll go out with the dog and you look up at the sky. And I do the same thing with Hadley in the nicer weather. And in the winter I'll go out, for a little bit, and when she goes out. But I always tell people, I just said this recently, stop looking at your phone when you go outside. Start looking up at the sky. You're missing things, especially these days. There's wild stuff. There's more things happening now more than ever. I think we're on the cusp of a great awakening. I really believe that. I do believe something is going to happen before we're gone. I really do. I think something's gonna happen. And I'm doing a video coming up on Project Bluebeam, and I don't believe it's that. I don't believe it's this big fake out where they're gonna put holograms up. I believe something real, something, like we're all gonna find out finally that there really is UFOs and other beings out there, and it's not some big fake out that they're trying to bring in this new world order, and they're utilizing holograms to try and fake us out that there's a UFO attack and all that. This video will be out before this video with you and I. But I really do, BJ. I think something is on its way, and I hope it's sooner than later.
Yeah, well, they've been doing soft disclosure for years. For a long time, they've been, doing the soft disclosures with, movies and different things like that.
Right.
So.
Hollywood is very famous for that, but especially lately, there's been people that have been working for different governments for years coming out, and they've been, talking about things. My favorite person who has come out and really has gone and put his butt on the hot seat for us is Paul Hellyer. He is the ex-minister of defense for the Canadian government. He retired, and he has been going out in front of the United Nations and the Congress of the United States and everywhere. The guy goes on camera and flat out says, listen, I was the Minister of Defense for Canada for years, decades. Canadian government, United States, obviously we worked hand in hand with them, Russia, France, Great Britain. Not only has proof of people or beings from other galaxies and planets, but is in contact with these beings that know about multiple different beings from other, solar systems and other dimensions. And we know about them and have known about them for many, many years. So, and that's the new thing as well. Not just the mindset of, way out into these other galaxies. And I hate when people say the known universe. It's an unknown universe. It's so huge. But this new mindset of, these things are coming from other dimensions. And that's what I really believe as well. They're coming from these portals, and they're getting video of these things opening up all over, the planet. And a lot of these things are opening up at that Skinwalker Ranch and other places that these ley lines are going underneath certain places. I actually found out that there is a huge ley line that goes right under Youngstown, Ohio as well, which Youngstown's really well known as a place of high strangeness for a lot of different reasons. So, you know, I just hope, like I said, I hope that we find out before you and I are gone. I think we're going to. Is there anything else, BJ, that you know that you've had some crazy stuff happen that you want to mention?
Well, I don't know how crazy this is, but I have my one book, Josiah Wolfe, which is my graphic dogman horror. What kind of started that was, it was probably about 15 years ago or so. And this was before Cassie Joe's time. I went to take my dogs out, and I had a Yorkie and a black lab. And I went out to open up the door, and standing just on the other side of my 4-foot chain link fence was this huge, I don't know if it was a coy wolf, or it didn't really look like a coyote, but it was huge. It was ghostly gray. Its eyes had that grayish glow, like backlit glow. And it was long hair, the long fluffy tail. And this thing was so big that its ears were at the top of my 4-foot high chain link fence. Yeah, and it just stood there and stared at me. Obviously, I didn't let my dogs out.
Right.
So I got them back in the house because they were on the porch. And then I went out, and I actually did go outside, you know, because I wanted to get it away from the fence so I could let my dogs out. So I walked up maybe 5 foot in the yard, and I'm clapping my hands and telling it to get, and you know, all that.
Stared at you.
It just stared at me, and then it just slowly turned and walked back just into the shadows where I could still see it there. But, you know, I don't know if it didn't know I couldn't see it, but it was after that, that's when I had my dream about the dogmen. And I didn't even know what dogmen were at that point in time. I dreamed about the dogmen
really
that became my book, Josiah Wolfe. And it was after I started working on that book that I found out, hey, you know, it's another cousin actually told me, you're writing about a dogman.
I really want to read that book.
But that's where that came from. And it was just a really weird, I don't know what that canine was, you know, but it was huge.
What is that one? There's a certain wolf that they said they thought was extinct.
Dire wolf. Maybe a dire wolf.
Yeah, there's a video of one that they believe is a guy that has his dog.
Yeah, I seen it. Black one.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
That was huge.
Gigantic. It's like prehistorically big. It's humongous. And if I was that guy, I would have never let his dog get as close as it does.
No.
Because you hear it yelping at one point.
Yeah.
I think it gets attacked by it. Or
yeah, it did. And I'm glad it came back and said later that the dog was okay.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
you know,
hey. I would have never let my dog. I mean, that thing was like as big as a freaking tiger. It was gigantic. Now, the behavior of what you saw was ironically the exact same behavior of what happened at Skinwalker Ranch when that huge wolf attacked that calf.
I don't know anything
about
that.
About the story.
No.
So you at least know that Skinwalker Ranch is known for ridiculously high strangeness. So when this family that had moved in before it was purchased by So before the guy that owns it now, there was another guy that purchased it, and there was a group of men, like government people, like scientists, and all of them had lived there, and they were the ones before the group that's there now that are studying it. So before the group that was there before them, there was a family that lived there. When they moved in, the day that they moved in, this humongous wolf, they said it was bigger than a dire wolf. The size of this thing was so big that it was like they were taken aback. It was like something out of a movie, and this thing just walked up on them, and they couldn't believe how big it was, and it just was super calm and just walked up on them, and they were like so scared at first, but it just calm, like walked up, and they started petting it. They're like, holy hell, where did this thing come from?
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, they started petting it, and it just walked around calm and just was like, hey, what's up? And then it turned around and started leaving. Well, this calf stuck its head out between the bars, and it was looking at this thing stupidly. And this thing looked at it, and then all of a sudden pounced, and it grabbed this calf's head, and it was trying to pull it through the bars. It was trying to kill it. Well, they were beating on it with wood and bats, and they're trying to stop it. Wasn't letting go. So then they had guns on them. He starts shooting it with a 357 Magnum. It wasn't flinching. So they started shooting it with the rifle, and it still was not flinching. So then the father tells it, go inside and get my 30-06, the rifle, which you can take down like a buffalo with that.
Yeah.
He gets it, and he shoots it with this thing, and a big chunk of flesh comes off of it, and it just lets go of the calf and looks at the guy and just slowly walks. And they said the way that it walked was like a snake. It just slowly walked away, and it didn't even act like it was injured, and he was shooting it and still hitting it, and it didn't even react to the bullets. And they said, we have to follow this thing, and it didn't kill the calf. Thankfully, they got it taken care of, and somebody came and took care of it later, and it lived, but it was injured badly. And they said, he told his older son to get some weaponry, and we're going to follow this thing. We have to dispatch it. We can't let this thing come back and live. So they followed its tracks, and they watched it when it was leaving, and it kept stopping every once in a while and turning around and looking at them. And they said even from a distance, like from a mile, it was so big, they just couldn't believe how huge this thing was. Well, finally it was out of sight, and they started following its tracks. Well, they went across a wash where there was like stones and mud and stuff, and its tracks were there, but all of a sudden its tracks just stopped. Like it just walked through a portal and disappeared.
Yeah.
And they had tons of portals on that property, and things would come in and out of these portals, like beings and shadow beings and creatures, and the dogmen came through, and Sasquatch. And so they went back and they told their family, what, this thing just disappeared. And they went and they found this big, huge piece of flesh, and they said it was like putrid. It smelled like, and it had just come off of this thing like less than an hour, and it smelled like rancid, like flesh, like it had been there for days. it was really strange, and just all kinds of craziness. So anyway, it just the behavior of what you saw was strangely
It
similar.
wasn't afraid of me at all.
Yeah, and neither
Not a
was
bit.
this thing. And they shot it with weaponry that would have taken down buffalo, and it didn't even flinch. So obviously, it was not of this earth, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So a lot of crazy stuff out there, BJ.
Yeah. And when I had seen this one, it was maybe a week before. I have some friends that I grew up with that live down in the woods they don't live, it's camp down in the woods. And they were sitting outside with their wives, and they actually seen that same animal, but it was staying just within the wood line, walking around them. And it spooked the girls, so they got up and they went inside the camp. And then it started spooking the guys too, so they put the fires out and they went in too. And then they had asked me later on if we had seen anything. I said no. And then a few days later, I did. So
that's really odd that it was sticking in the wood line. That's like,
yeah, they said they felt like they were being stalked.
Yeah, that 100% is stalking.
That's what gave them the creeps.
And it shows the sign of intelligence, like more than you expect from a predator. It's like a little extra intelligence, almost like you expect it to stand up on two legs as well. The kind of attitude it was doing. I don't know. That's really strange. And you said
I just say I live in a zone.
You definitely are in an area of extreme high strangeness with everything going on.
Even the radio frequencies here, when we first moved in here, I could not get a radio station that was 18 miles away. But yet I was in my bathroom, I was picking it up. The furthest one I had was Radio Nicaragua. I was getting Chicago land. I was getting a talk radio station out of Canada. Yeah.
That's extremely strange. Wow.
Yeah, it's live in a weird area. I call it the zone.
I guarantee you have ley lines going underneath the area that you live. And I also guarantee that the house that you're in, that there is limestone in the area that I guarantee you live under limestone. It's underneath you. Limestone obviously is extremely well known for being connected to high strangeness, paranormal, supernatural beings, hauntings, things like that. Wow. You got it all going on with you, BJ.
It's just normal for me. That's the thing.
And that's what blows me away as well.
I didn't know people would find it interesting,
That's wild, because it's an everyday thing to you. Something that we I forgot to bring up. We talked about earlier, but we didn't get on recorded here, is you had a little being, a shadow being. Can we bring that one up real quick?
Yeah, when I was younger, when I was little, I had a black shadow cat that came and went out of my room. Just kind of came in, hung out, and he was just there.
And your cousin, the psychic, told you about it as well.
Yeah, when I had mentioned it to her, we've only been talking about this because she didn't know that I seen stuff. I didn't know that she seen stuff until just probably the last 4 or 5 years. We actually told each other we see stuff. And she told me that the cat was there to protect me from something. Didn't know what, but it was there to protect me. And then after it was done, it left, didn't come back.
How long was it there for? What was the time frame?
I'd say it was probably there a couple weeks.
And you obviously didn't know what it protected you from.
No, I don't.
That's pretty wild. It could have been something really, really messed up. I mean, obviously, just it being a shadow creature. I mean, That's wild. Being a shadow cat is so you said it would just come in and lay down where you
Yeah, it would
were?
come in, lay down, and me not knowing it, but I left my bedroom door open for it all the time because at that point in time I was young. I didn't know it could just walk through the door.
Right, right.
So,
That's so interesting. I would love to know what it protected you from. It could have
yeah,
been something.
I just have no idea, but I've been like this my whole life. So, who knows, maybe something new that, I was the way I am. And it thought about coming over and the cat kept it away. I don't know.
Well, because then you also think about shadows, because you saw it and it's at a small size, but shadows can get huge. So that thing could have
Hmm.
got as big as a bear if it needed to. So I
Yeah.
mean, it protected you from maybe something really nasty. But
Hmm.
that's really, really cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
And even back then, it didn't seem out of the ordinary for me. And
I,
I don't even think I was in school at that point. So I was probably maybe 5 or 6 when I was seeing that. So I think I've been seeing stuff my whole life.
and for you, as you've been saying, it's just normal for you. It's
Yeah.
just everyday stuff. A
Yeah.
lot of people have asked me, Matt, what happened to you? Would you change? If you could change it, would you? And I've always said the same thing. That's a double-edged sword for me, because two of my friends are not here, and the life choices that they made led to two of my friends dying because of what happened to us when we were 14. They couldn't handle what
Yeah.
happened. So obviously, I would change it if it could bring them back, but
Yeah.
I can't change it. So me learning of that there's all kinds of stuff out there that people have no clue. I'm glad I know about all this other stuff. Um, it's just amazing to think of what I know now, and to just fathom what I don't even have any clue of what's out there. Of what I know. It's just, I know there's so much out there I don't even know about. Listening to what you're telling me of things that I don't even know about, now I do. It's just wild. What a crazy place we live in. I listened to a buddy of mine yesterday. I'm going to make a video about it, but I'll just tell you guys about just the abridged version of it. He was telling me about he spoke to an ex-government agent, basically, who had really he really took a chance speaking to him. And he used to work in Antarctica. And basically, what he told him was he used to work in this. Well, they would fly into McMurdo Station, but when he first got this job working for, he thought it was for the government, but it was for this like black site group that worked outside of the government. They'd fly into McMurdo, and then they'd get into a unmarked plane and fly somewhere else, hours somewhere else, like past the ice wall, and they would like fly into some like something would open up in the ice, and they fly into this like underground runway, and they'd be in this huge underground like base. And there was like he was like he knew how to work this magnetic anomaly system that basically controlled a portal system that they could send things through, or things could come through it from other places, from all over. They had no idea from where, or they could send it through to other places, or beings could come through this thing. And then if they did, they'd have to like set alarms, and people would come in with guns and stuff.
Sounds like Stargates.
Yeah, basically. And some really crazy stuff happened, and I'll make a video about it. And
Sounds really interesting.
it was insane, the stuff he told me. And I just couldn't believe some of the stuff he told me. And he's just like, Matt, it's just so insane. This guy just was like, he was stuttering, and he kept like stopping, and like he was listening to make sure, like he thought somebody was like in his driveway. He kept checking, like you could hear him getting up and like looking through he had blinds on his window. He kept looking, you could hear him getting up and looking through his blinds. He's like, okay, no one's in my driveway. Okay, I'll keep going. He was like so paranoid, he said. And the things he told him was just so whacked out. And I believed him. He believed him. And the guy just, they had this being come through and it killed some people, and they killed it. And there's a recording of this alarm that he made when it went off. And I'm going to put it on the video, and you could tell it's real. It wasn't like made by anybody. It's like a real alarm that went off, and these people are like screaming on the alarm to bring this like team in to come and deal with this situation. And he said they rushed me into this room where this big door shut. It was like a magnetic locked door that kept him and these other people safe while this team were dealing with this being that came through unannounced. It was so crazy. So the reason I'm talking about it is because, I mentioned like all this stuff that we just have no clue what's out there. And it's just, just incredible, the things that are in this world. And if there was anything that you can think of that you could have like one thing right now that you could pick to know something wild, what would it be? I know that's a really hard thing to answer.
Yeah.
I know. And it's vague, but just try and think of something crazy. And think of one thing, like, someone said, just pick something that you'd like to know about, and I'll let you know it.
I know some people say they want to know what it's like in heaven, but my father has come back and already told me what heaven's like. So I don't.
Is that right?
So I don't have to wonder about that.
Do you want to tell us what he said, or do you not want to share it?
No, I can say that. Yeah, okay. He came back after he had passed away, and he said that Mom and I are going to love it there. He says everything is so happy. Everybody's happy. There's flowers everywhere. It's beautiful there. He had the biggest smile on his face, and he says it's great there. And I had mentioned this to somebody else. It was on a chat thing on one of the other, podcasters. And he said he had a near-death experience, and that is exactly what he's seen. The same thing. He didn't want to come back.
Okay.
But he ended up coming back. So so it's like he's seeing the same exact thing. So I know what heaven's going to be like. I know how beautiful it's going to be, and everybody's happy and healthy. Everybody's healthy again. So, yeah.
Well, I had a near-death experience as well. I don't know where I was. I don't know if I was in between when I'll just give a real quick abridged version. When I had my near-death experience.
Yeah, I remember when you had that.
I had told you, like, everybody, there were thousands of people. They were all out of focus. I got this urge to turn around, and I saw my mom and dad who had passed away. I didn't see like flowers and stuff. It was like a big open field. I had my leg again, so I was healthy again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where I was.
I think it just wasn't your time yet. So you weren't going to be allowed to see anything.
That's what my mom said, honey, you have to go. It's not your time.
Yeah.
I got the same old thing that a lot of people get, that line. And I said to my mother, bullshit, I'm not going anywhere. I haven't seen you guys. I don't want to, I got this super strong feeling of I didn't want to leave either. I wanted to see, and then she touched my face. I saw a flash of light, and I was on the operating table. So
Yep.
that at least was the same as, I didn't want to go either. It definitely wasn't my time. So it was crazy. So let's put you on the spot again. You get it.
I didn't answer your last question.
No, let's hear it.
I don't have an answer.
Okay, that's fair. That's a hard question.
Yeah, it is.
And I've always said, so let me ask you this. When it's your time and you're in heaven, what's the first question you want to ask God?
I don't know.
I know my question. I've been thinking of this for years because it's blown my mind always thinking of this. I'm going to ask God, how is it that God has always been? It just, for me, and they say that humans just don't have the ability to process that God's always been. You just can't process that something just doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's just always been.
Yep.
So that's what I want to know. How have you always been here? How is that possible? How is it that you didn't start somewhere? That's what I'm going to ask. So.
Oh, okay. See, I've never wondered that because God is the great I am. He is, always has been, always will be.
Right.
And, it's probably kind of controversial, but like not everybody. Some people say there can't be aliens out there because it doesn't say anything about them in the Bible. Who says, well, in the Bible, it says that God created everything in the heavens and on earth. The aliens come from the heavens, right? Per se. Who's to say that they weren't created before we were, and we don't have a written history back before we were created?
Right.
So,
I think it is so small-minded. It is so small-minded to think that we're it. It's just,
can't be.
It's ridiculous. It's mathematically impossible for us to be it. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
It would be such a waste of space as well, as huge as the unknown universe is.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Why wouldn't he have created life on other planets as well?
Right. Correct. And again, I just point to one person again, Paul Hellyer, the ex-minister of Canada Defense. The guy why would he lie? He's not a crazy person. He's very sane and very logical. And the guy, you listen to him speak, he's obvious. Again, he's not a crazy person. He's just like, listen, we've been talking with different kinds for a long time, way before Roswell. So yeah.
And like your question that you asked, what I would ask, I don't think I would need to ask anything, because when you go to heaven, I think everything is going to be there for you. You'll just know it.
That's a great comment. That's interesting. I wonder if that really will be true. And I will say, I wonder if I've wanted to ask God this for a while, because I've been through, and excuse my language, I've been through some shit over the years, 33 surgeries. I've been through some stuff.
Yeah, you have been.
And one of my favorite lines that I use is, I don't know if I've been being tested or if I was, Vlad the Impaler in another life or what.
I doubt that one.
I've been getting my butt whooped for years. And I just would like to know, I don't know if I'm just, if I'm being tested for a reason. I could be, I don't know. I'd like to know why, and there might not be a reason. It just might be like, Matt, it's just the way it goes. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's got to be a reason for it. It can't be for nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He has a reason for everything.
I agree. Yeah, it's got to make me a better person, a stronger person. It's definitely changed me. It has. BJ, is there anything before we stop that you would like to let everybody know what's going on with you, things that are coming up, your channel, any information you'd like to let people know?
Well, all my books I have out, they are on Amazon. For my horror books, I have 3 horrors. I'm working on another one right now, but they're all under the pen name BJ Moore, Moore. Because I had to make a division between my scary stuff and the other educational, inspirational, and religious. Because some people took issue with writing in the different genres, right, like that. So, and my YouTube channel right now is just like there's a song on there I wrote. There's one on there that has some of the products showcasing some of the products that I sell at the vendor shows that I do. And then the other ones are like book trailers to show you the insides of the books so you can see what they look like and all that.
Well, BJ, I had an absolute blast. It was an eye-opener. I'm so happy that you came on Planet 412 today. Thank you.
I hope everybody's interested in what I had to say. I don't know, like I said before, it's just normal for me, but
I guarantee you the comments are going to be full. They're going to be making all types of them. Now, one of the things, since you're new,
they're all good ones.
Oh, I guarantee it. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, that's all I ever am is me. Because take me or leave me. It's their choice. So,
well, I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I had a great time, BJ.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, it was
I
a
hope
blast.
I did okay for
you. Did awesome. Hold on 1 second. Don't leave.
Okay.
Well, everybody, what do you think? Write in the comments what you thought about today's interview. Make sure that you ask BJ any questions you have. Trust me, she'll get back to you. And if she doesn't see it, I will make sure that I tell her to get back to your question. Thank you guys for being on the 412. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it greatly helps out the channel. I'll see you next time on Planet 412. Hey, Planet 412. 2025 is going to be gigantic for the 412. All kinds of new formats and huge things are in store. What am I talking about? You'll find out. But one thing's going to happen for sure. This guy's going to be in a new documentary on ETS, Exposing the Strange, directed by David Wolfe. Well, David Wolfe was just on a live stream not too long ago on Planet 412. You guys probably saw it. If you haven't, check it out.
What do you think Dogman is? Do you think it's supernatural or flesh and blood?
That's a slippery slope for some people. So with my experience, I 100% believe that it was supernatural.
We just heard a rock clack right over here.